Welcome everyone to my post-release Navia overview. In this video, I will go over some information regarding her kit, best combos, rotations, and some teams. This is not a build guide. If you want to know how to build Navia, I would recommend checking out my full guide. My Navia throughout the video has talents leveled to 6, 8, 6. She's level 90, using Verdict and a Marechaussee Hunter set in teams with Fiorina and a 2-piece attack and attack in other teams. I also tested some teams with Golden Troop, and I will be talking about them more later. When it comes to energy recharge, my Marechaussee build and 2-piece attack build both ran 110% energy recharge. While this is below the recommended target, it was fine running 110% energy recharge in teams with a second Geo unit using Favonius. That way I was able to burst consistently throughout each rotation, but I sometimes had to funnel energy or use my skill to gain energy back. So, I would still recommend between 120 and 130 energy recharge in a team with a second Geo. Navia's elemental skill is the majority of her damage. Nothing changed in her release, but there are a few notes I would like to make. Navia's skill does not have a lot of range, and when you hold the skill, you don't have a lot of vertical range. While this doesn't really affect Navia much, you will need to stay close to enemies to hit them with your skill. To summarize, you can't use Navia's skill like you would with Nahida. You have to be closer to enemies. Collecting shrapnel shards using Navia's burst is very convenient, and I would always recommend using it first before starting your rotation. Your first skill cast will benefit from your burst, but Navia's second skill cast will need to rely on crystallized shards to increase its damage. This is where holding Navia's skill could be useful, as it will draw in crystallized shards nearby that you may not have been able to collect. One more thing to note, in some rotations, you can use a third skill cast. Since the skill has a 9-second cooldown, and by the time you finish using your second skill, the cooldown for the first skill cast would have refreshed. While you can do this in some rotations, it is not always better to do so, as your third skill might lose on your team's buffs and sometimes hinder your next rotation. Using Navia's elemental skill gives you elemental infusion. The duration of this infusion is listed as 4 seconds. However, in-game, the duration is closer to 5 seconds. If you're just normal attacking during this duration, you can get in all of Navia's 4 hits. But if you cancel her normal attacks animation, you can get in more hits and reset the attack chain. With most characters, you can cancel your normal attack animation by either jumping or sprinting. In actual combat, I prefer to sprint to cancel the animation, as it allows me to reposition my characters and is easier to pull off than jumping. With Navia, you can animation cancel most of her attacks. Navia's 4th hit animation takes a lot of time, and if you cancel it by either jumping or sprinting, you can get an additional hit in her Geo infusion. This combo of doing 4 normal attacks and canceling her last animation and getting 1 more hit in is the easiest combo to pull off for Navia's normal attacks. Although do keep in mind that you don't even have to use any combo, as getting 1 or 2 more hits in will not increase your damage exponentially. But it is something nice to know if you want to maximize Navia's damage. If you hold your charged attack during the Geo infusion, you can get around 7 hits in, which is not a lot, and barely better than just normal attacking. I wouldn't recommend holding charged attack in her Geo infusion, as it is slow and not much stronger than normal attacking. But this could have its uses. For example, if you are surrounded by multiple enemies, you can use your charged attack to hit most of them. Repeatedly canceling the first animation is also not recommended, as it is much harder to do and not particularly stronger. If you cancel your third attack animation, you will get 5 hits which don't scale higher than canceling the 4th animation. The best combo I found was canceling your second attack animation. This combo allowed me to get in 6 hits, while doing the first 2 normal attacks for 3 times. While this is the highest damage combo, it is not much better than the N4 plus N1 combo, while requiring more effort to do, as you will need to cancel more animations. Overall, I would recommend you use the N4 plus N1 combo, where you use the first 4 normal attacks and cancel the 4th one and get an additional hit in. While the best for damage is the 3N2 combo, where you cancel the second attack animation for 3 times. So in an actual rotation with Navia, you would start with your burst, do your team rotation, then switch to Navia, use her skill and do whatever attack combo suits you best. Then use her second skill, and you can hold it to get more shards in to increase your damage and repeat the attack combo. Navia's strongest team as a main DPS is with Fiorina, Bennett, and a second Geo. Without Zhongli as your second Geo, running this team without a healer like Noelle is a viable strategy, but having Albedo in this team is going to be hard to pull off. Bennett's healing is not enough against Furina's HP drain, and most of your party members will be left at 50% HP. Not having a shield in this team makes surviving very hard to do so. My Furina is at C2 in all gameplay, so it's not fully representable of a team with C0 Furina, but even at C0, this should still be one of the strongest Navia teams. This team was very strong, and even with my low talent levels, I was still able to clear all of the second chamber of the Abyss in under a minute for each boss. For instance, in the second chamber of Floor 2, I was able to defeat the Jade Plume Terror Shroom in a single rotation using 3 elemental skill casts. And one more thing to note, while I was able to burst consistently running 110 energy recharge, at the 3rd floor second chamber, I was not able to do so, which further reinforces that you still need higher energy recharge. You can run this team with other units. The other team I tested was with Double Pyro, Bennett, and Zhangling. Even though the build I was using for this team was not optimal, with a full Nighttime Whispers in the Echoing Wood set, Navia should deal around 10% more damage. The difference between both teams for my case with C2 Furina was a bit noticeable, but with C0 Furina, the difference is going to be marginal. Running double Pyro characters gives the Pyro resonance, which increases attack and does not help my build any further. With a properly built Navia, this team could be just as strong as a Marechaussee Hunter Furina team. I also tested other teams with Golden Troop set, such as Vaporize and Hyper Bloom. While I was able to get higher elemental skill damage, these teams were not particularly better than a Hyper Carry Navia team, but they do work and still clear fast. And that's all from this video. Although it was short, I hope this video was helpful with this short overview of Navia. Thank you for making it till the end, and thank you for watching.